Welcome, everyone, to Season 6, Episode 7 of the Hall of Fame show. It's the longest running program we have here in the Buchnerverse at Non-Hall of Fame. We're not recording as much, but we're actually working on our quality. We're not coming up with just reasons to chat with each other. I think after Evan, Nolan, and Kirk Buchner met, we said, okay, we're good. Let's just make it count.
Exactly right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we started doing pretty much every week. Now we're just trying to get when there's big stuff going on because we got other things happening.
Yeah.
And we have a decent story to start with. We had the nominees for the NASCAR Hall of Fame came out today.
Yeah, you were actually the one who brought that to my attention. So I'm going to let you lead off with that one and tell everyone who is the NASCAR Hall of Fame nominees for 2025.
So let me just start here. As the original NASCAR writer on the site, which is hilarious.
You're also the only one.
Also the only one. I don't know if it's been updated in a while. But so it used to be they had 5 people going in. So this whole thing on the NASCAR Hall of Fame are unfamiliar. Because NASCAR Hall of Fame is, God, how many classes have been? It has to be about a decade now that they've had it. It's in Charlotte. It used to be they had 5 people going in over and over and over again. They've changed it up a little bit now. So there's a modern era ballot where there are 2 people, a pioneer ballot where there's 1 person, and a landmark award where there's 1 person. So it's going to be a class of 4 going in front of the following group of people. So start the modern era ballot. The first name we have on the list is Greg Biffle, who is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion and the 2000 and the 2002 Xfinity Series champion. One of those familiar names for people who follow NASCAR. I was thinking more on the truck side than anything else, but at least as someone who's a casual follower of NASCAR, I do remember Biffle pretty well. I know you're not gonna have a ton to add, so do you want me to just keep going through these?
Yeah, just keep going. I can only add something on 1 person, and it's really lame what I'm going to add.
Fair enough. Next up, Neil Bonnet, who has 18 wins in NASCAR series, including back-to-back wins of the Coca-Cola 600. 18 with where they are on the drivers list. 18 is a decent number of wins for someone who's not in. Pretty good candidate. He's not first on my list, but a very good candidate. Next up, Tim Brewer, 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion crew chief. I don't have a ton that I can tell you about crew chiefs, but if you win the NASCAR Cup Series twice as crew chief, that's got to mean something. Jeff Burton, NBC sports analyst, 21-time winner NASCAR Series, including winning the Southern 500 and 2 Coca-Cola 600s himself. I think of Burton now much more as an analyst than I ever did as a racer. He's a very good racer, but he's a very, very good analyst. So you'll hear him most of the time when NASCAR's on NBC. I'd say the big name on this group, or one of the 2 big names, is Kurt Busch. We're going alphabetical order, and we're only gotten to Busch now in number 4, which is kind of crazy, or number 5. But he 2004 NASCAR Cup Series champion, won the 2017 Daytona 500. He's my age, so that makes me feel happy because that means there's still people getting the Hall of Fame at my age. But he's got to be the favorite in my opinion of these folks. One of the great engine builders, Randy Dorton, who has 9 championships in NASCAR Series from the engines that he's built. He is here. Those folks have a little bit harder time getting in over the drivers and crew chiefs, but it's nice to see one of the engine guys in here. Another one, Harry Gant, longtime NASCAR driver, including 18 series race victories, including 2 Southern 500s. So he's here as well, as is Harry Hyde.
That's the only one I got a comment on.
Oh, Harry Gant, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Harry Gant was excellent portraying Harry Gant in Stroker Ace.
Oh, I mean, it must have been a big stretch.
Well, he got some lines.
Good for him.
I actually watched that. I don't know why I would rewatch that, but I just did about 3 weeks ago. I think Neil Bonnet was in that film too.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Interestingly enough, he played Neil Bonnet.
You don't want to stretch these things too far here.
Well, I mean, you got to go with your strengths.
Yeah, I go with your strengths. So I'm looking at the cast list right now. Benny Parsons was in it. Cale Yarborough, Dale Earnhardt.
You get there so fast.
Kyle Petty, Tim Richmond, Richard Petty, Harry Gant. There he is. Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, Neil Bonnet. Good job.
Yeah, now ask me when I got married or what year it was. I get it. I get the date right. It's just sometimes they say it's 2006, 2007, 2008.
Also with Jim Neighbors and Bubba Smith. Those are a mismatched odd couple right there, my friend.
Jim Neighbors played the crew chief, Lugs Harvey.
Well, there you go.
Yes. Bubba Smith was played Arnold, the chauffeur.
Arnold the chauffeur, that's correct.
And featuring one of my favorite early actors as a kid, John Byner, because he was in this Canadian show called Bizarre, a Canadian sketch comedy that didn't suck in the late 70s or early 80s.
John Byner, still alive at 86 years old.
Oh, is he really? That's awesome.
He is. I was just looking that up because we also have Ned Beatty, who's passed away. Burt Reynolds has passed away. And Lonnie Anderson's still around. So, but
And when she's dead, parts of her will still be around.
that may be entirely true. Anyway, let's go back to the list.
Sorry.
So Harry Hyde, championship crew chief in the 1970 NASCAR Cup Series, another crew chief here, as well as I guess the last two names are fairly big. Randy LaJoie, two-time Xfinity Series champion and the 1985 North Series champion, and one of the most successful folks on the Truck Series, Jack Sprague, who won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on 3 separate occasions. So 2 of those guys would get in. My guess is it's going to be Kurt Busch and either Jack Sprague and Randy LaJoie.
Okay.
So that would be my guess on those just based off of who we have here. Would it shock me if it's Jeff Burton? No. Would it shock me if it was they decided to go crew chief with Tim Brewer? Not really either. But I think it's more likely to be Busch and I'd say probably Sprague even over LaJoie. So
okay.
Based on my, Massachusetts knowledge of NASCAR. So next we have the Pioneer ballot. We have 5 people here. I think there's a very obvious person to be chosen. Only one gets in, but we'll go through it anyway. Jake Elder, 3-time NASCAR Cup Series champion crew chief, including Daytona 500 and 2 Southern 500s, who was on the Pioneer ballot previously. So he is back. The name, I think, is the person, Ray Hendrick, who won 700 times in NASCAR modified in the late model sportsman, which are some of the other disciplines within NASCAR. But I mean, 700 victories is 700 victories, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
Banjo Matthews, another great car builder, built cars that won more than 250 NASCAR Cup Series races and 3 championships. So another really great pioneer. Will be in sooner than later, but I think Hendrick would be my choice here. Larry Phillips, first 5-time NASCAR Weekly Series national champion. I can't honestly tell you exactly what that means, but he's the first one, so that goes well for him. And Bob Wellborn, winner of 9 NASCAR Cup Series races and 3 convertible division championships, which I think is fun. I think they should still do convertible division. But I mean, it seems like Ray Hendrick first, Banjo Matthews second, and then there are 3 other guys who will be on the ballot going forward, in my opinion. And the last one, the Landmark Award. So we have, these are people who are not necessarily on the track, but more involved with other things behind the scenes. So the first one's Alvin Hawkins, who's NASCAR's first flagman. Established NASCAR racing at Bowman Gray Stadium with Bill France Jr. So one of the original folks when NASCAR was founded there at the very beginning. Speaking of somebody with Bill France Sr., Lisa France Kennedy, NASCAR's executive vice chair, one of the most influential women in sports, one of the highest ranked women in any sport out there. So very, very deserving person here. Dr. Joseph Mattioli, the founder of Pocono Raceway. And while we're speaking on that, Humpy Wheeler, the former president and general manager of Charlotte Motor Speedway, which transformed it from, a backwoods thing you might see on Stroker Ace to one of the best NASCAR tracks there is. This is his first time nominee for this. And then a member of both the Pro Football and National Motorsports Hall of Fame, Les Richter, NASCAR executive who oversaw competition and helped grow the sport, particularly on the West Coast, which isn't surprising because Richter played for the Rams out there. But he already in, like I said, the motorsports, easy for me to say, motorsports Hall of Fame. I think he'll probably get in here eventually as well. But I think this is a tougher group to get in out of, honestly, than the Pioneer ballot. Well, I did think Ray Hendricks so far ahead of everybody else. The landmark ballot, all 5 of these folks are people I could see getting elected. So it's just going to be which one they decide to put in first. I'd say Humpy Wheeler is probably the best known of these folks to the normal person, just because you hear his name once, you don't forget it. But he's also super duper important in the history of the sport. Although this is his first time in the ballot, so we'll see exactly what that means. So,
did it say when they're going to announce this?
That's a good question. Give me 1 second. They'll meet on May 20th to select 2 modern era, 1 from each of the other ones. So they'll all be selected on May 20th. So when they're going to announce it, I'm not sure. But okay, these are the nominees. So it's a good list of nominees. I mean, the first group of classes for the NASCAR Hall was ridiculous because they never had one. And so the first class is like Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr. And like, it's just, it's a crazy list. And then the second class isn't that far worse. David Peterson, Cale Yarborough, people like that. So it's taken some time to get here, but they're in a good place. I like the way they have it set up. Like, hey, we're going to put 2 people in the modern, 2 people from old time, the beginning, and then 1 person behind the scenes. That seems like the appropriate way to do it, the appropriate number of people for the NASCAR Hall at this point.
That makes sense in terms of the numbers.
Yeah.
Speaking of the numbers, things that have not made sense lately with the new changes, we're going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not because there's any necessarily news on it, but we have 2 significant names who have retired since we last spoke. The first being Patrick Peterson. Since he didn't play last year, he is Hall of Fame eligible in 2029.
Mm-hmm.
And Peterson had a rocketing start here, defensive back for the Cardinals. 8 straight Pro Bowls to begin his career.
Mm-hmm.
Might have had a 9th, but he got popped for a PED to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that really played a factor. Obviously, I can't know because he was never the same player after that.
Correct. But here's what's going for Patrick Peterson. So according, again, we talk about the Hall of Fame monitor on Pro Football Reference. I know it's not a perfect measure of anything.
It's a good measure.
But it's a good measure. It's at least a way to put things in perspective. So according to a Hall of Fame monitor, he's the 23rd greatest defensive back in NFL history. Like, well, 23rd, that's a long way down. Here's the thing. Of the top 26 people on the list of the greatest defensive backs of all time, he's the only one not in the Hall of Fame.
That's pretty good company.
That's pretty good company. So the people just ahead of him. So the average Hall of Fame defensive back on their thing has 97 score. He's at an 86.1. But the only people between average and him are Troy Polamalu, Paul Krause, Ken Houston, Jimmy Johnson, not the coach, Leroy Butler, and Steve Atwater. People right behind him are Cliff Harris, Aeneas Williams, and Lem Barney. And then the guy after that is Richard Sherman, who's going to get a whole bunch of consideration when he gets there. But 3-time first-team All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 13 years started, as strong a candidate for the Hall as you can get for a defensive back going forward.
Also, too, in a position that doesn't have the same amount of logjam that others do.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive backs are not always recognized as quick as they should be, but he's in a better spot than somebody we talked about last time we did a show, who was also eligible in 2029, arguably, Julio Jones.
Right. Because there's such a logjam at wide receiver that it's done. Period.
Yeah. The other significant one, this sort of dovetails to when we talked about Zach Martin not that long ago, his longtime teammate, Tyron Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He retired, got to go back, signed a one-day, I think he signed a one-day contract. I'm assuming that's how that worked, to retire as a Dallas Cowboy. multi-time Pro Bowl, All-Pro. He has a Hall of Fame resume, but we've seen a lot of offensive linemen with very similar resumes not get in. Richmond Webb comes to mind. He
Yep.
finally became a semifinalist.
Yep.
Their resume isn't that far apart.
No. So Richmond Webb, 2-time first team All Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler. Tyron Smith, 2-time first team All Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler. So yeah, it's a limited difference. Again, using Pro Football Hall of Fame monitor. He is currently the 17th offensive tackle. Everybody ahead of him is in the Hall of Fame except for Jason Peters, who is just becoming eligible, and Jim Tyrer, who is a senior finalist and has other issues.
Right. So. And we're also looking at, too, I mean, like, I could argue that he's behind Zach Martin already on first-year eligible. Actually, I will argue that for first-time eligibles, and we don't know who's going to join them yet. I think there's a pretty good chance Von Miller will at some point. I don't know that he's going to continue to play, and we don't know what the hell's going on with Aaron Rodgers, let alone Aaron Rodgers knowing what the hell.
Aaron Rodgers knows what's going on. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he has to join the Vikings and then threaten to retire and then unretire and then threaten to retire and unretire. He's on the far pathway. He's got to finish
it. If he does, this is great for me as a Saints fan.
Which is why?
Because Favre was beating the crap out of in the Vikings playoff game against the Saints. And that's when the NFC Championship. So, like Yogi Berra said, deja vu all over again. I can handle that.
No one goes to that restaurant anymore. It's too crowded. Yogi
Berra. I haven't heard that one. That's great.
It's one of my favorites. They're talking about where to go. He's like, no one goes to that restaurant anymore. It's too crowded. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough, that class of 2029, 2030 is going to be loaded. So they got to figure out what the hell they're doing with the hall before we get there. So we're going to have these kind of classes.
Well, Paul and I were talking, we recorded a show, Paul Lawrence and myself, that'll go up possibly in tandem with this one. And we were talking about that. By then, hopefully they've course corrected. They're not going to do it next year because
they won't. They'll do one more year of punishing everybody, and then Adam Vinatieri won't be in again, and they'll be like,
no group of men are going to admit that they're wrong right away. I know I don't.
My father-in-law has a sign in his basement that says, "I may be wrong, but I doubt it."
My dad's catchphrase. He put this literally. I don't want to say on his, I guess on his deathbed, he had the nurse write, I'm not always right, but I've never been wrong. Like that was like written there so that my brother and I could see that. I got a picture of that somewhere, but this went dark a little quick, didn't it? Perfect timing to segue to the Deadpool.
Yeah, it works very well. Like we don't have very much else. We're gonna have a lot to talk about our next time.
Well, maybe we can preview that.
Sure.
Let's say what's coming up soon.
Well, let's do the deaths first.
So we'll do that. Okay, then we'll do all the stuff and then other things.
That thing makes a little more sense.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So let me clear out the stuff I have here. All right. So I would start with, I think the biggest name who passed away, I guess, yesterday. Pope Francis, the Bishop of Rome, passed away at the age of 88. There are, of course, lots of inappropriate jokes here of J.D. Vance, who is apparently the last person to see him. But I mean, in terms of, I know you're not going to have a lot to say about this, but as a Catholic, and not necessarily the most active Catholic anymore, used to be quite active. He was the first Jesuit ever to become Pope, and the first Latin American person to become Pope. But by the way, the two front runners right now are Latin American and African. We may have a Black Pope coming up here pretty soon, which would be interesting. But he tackled things that previous popes would not, took on climate change and the responsibility of Earth, a lot of things. He was so away from everything else. He was accused of being a socialist by a lot of people, the head of the Roman Catholic Church. But not on everything. But he took us more away from the draconic way that Benedict XVI was doing things. Benedict XVI liked to threaten to excommunicate people for not talking about how gays suck. And that was something that Francis just never did. So I'm happy that he was there. I'm happy to see some of the stuff he did. I'm sad to see him gone because he was a significantly better pope, in my opinion, than Benedict ever was, although Benedict is still alive, believe it or not.
But how does that work?
He stepped down. So he always said his papacy wasn't going to be long. And again, Benedict was also the head of the Cheney committee, as I like to call them, right? He was in charge of he was in charge of finding the next pope, and then he got himself elected. It's like Dick Cheney was the head of finding George W. Bush and vice president and got himself elected. But like I said, I think there's only 3 of those. That one, the Cheney, the Pope Benedict, and the guy who is looking for the new host of Jeopardy are the only 3 I know off the top of my head.
Did any of them work?
Cheney
served his term, so there you go.
I mean, Cheney served his term, Benedict served his term, and we had like 47 hosts of Jeopardy ever since until they finally settled on somebody. So,
and that's the second Jeopardy host we just talked about.
That is true.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just one of the better popes. I mean, I'm not a pope historian, but one of the better popes I can imagine there's going to be. So, Godspeed to Pope Francis. Okay. So, also passing away from the, I guess, not quite the same level, but as long as we're talking about game show hosts, Wink Martindale passed away at the age of 91. Do you remember Wink?
Yeah, I thought he was dead a long time ago, actually. But yeah, he did a few game shows. I remember Joker's Wild, I think.
Joker's Wild, Tic-Tac-Toe.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was a big one. Gambit was one. His first one was on What's This Song? Back in 1964 and 65. They misspelled his name, though. They called him Win Martindale for that. The Tic-Tac-Toe, he was in, they did one on Boggle. One of my favorites, actually, Canadian game show, Bumper Stumpers. I loved that game show as a child, where they're like, which of these belongs to a doctor? And there would be 2 vanity license plates. You had to solve which one was the right one. But again, we keep losing all of our game show hosts. We've lost Trebek, we've lost Bob Barker, we lost Chuck Woolery earlier this year, and now
I don't even know any game shows other than Price is Right anymore. But then,
well, actually, we watch The Floor right now as a family. Which
okay. I guess I'm still thinking of okay.
And The Floor is pretty fun. I mean, they still have Press Your Luck on every once in a while. They'll have some other ones. The worst one right now is The Wall. I hate that one.
I don't even know. I don't watch any of it.
But yeah, so yeah, Godspeed, 91 years old for Wink Martindale. Yeah, also passing away. One of the major people from the Bush administration, we talked about them as well. The former Deputy Secretary of State, Richard Armitage. He passed away at the age of 79. From Canada, Noreen Young, the Canadian puppeteer who played Dodie on Sesame Park, which is a Canadian version of Sesame Street.
I didn't know there was a Canadian version of Sesame Street.
I didn't either until I saw this. Once they said Muppeteer, I'm like, and then they told me who it was. So, but she passed away at the age of, let's see, she's born 39. She passed away at the age of 85 because she hadn't had her birthday.
How do I not know this show?
I don't know. I went and looked it up. She was also on High Diddle Day, The Pencil Box, Under the Umbrella Tree.
All shows I've never heard of.
Yeah, they're all TV shows from when you're a little kid. You should know them. I don't know.
I don't either.
Also passing away, one of those character actors who was in a lot of stuff and then just kind of disappeared. Nicky Katt passed away.
Yeah. He was in Dazed and Confused.
There's a Dazed and Confused, A Time to Kill, Boiler Room, Way of the Gun, Secondhand Lions. The Burbs.
Boston Public, I think, on TV.
That's correct. It was a Boston
Yeah.
Public. Yep. What else was he in? Batman and Robin. He was Spike, one of the henchmen of Batman and Robin. Insomnia, that's a big one. Insomnia was one of the ones I always think of him. Waking Life is another big one. Did you ever see Waking Life?
I have not.
He's the main character and playing himself in that show. It's like they did the whole film and then they like colored over it. It's really like a trippy thing. So also World Trade Center, Sin City. So a whole bunch of stuff. And they just kind of disappeared back in 2011. But he passed away. He committed suicide by hanging.
Shit. Okay. I didn't know that because when that first came out, it didn't say that.
So he was 54 years old. He was apparently dead for several days before somebody had found him.
Was he suffering depression? Do they know? Or
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
I don't have an answer for you. So he had been caring for his mom until she passed away a couple years ago. So that was taking much of time, but I don't have another good answer for you. So someone else who played a lot of bad guys in movies, including the main bad guy in Game of Death, Mel Novak, passed away at the age of 90. Did you ever see Game of Death?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So in Game of Death, he played Stick, but he was also in Black Belt Jones, The Ultimate Warrior, and like a whole bunch of those type movies. But yeah, he passed away at age of 90. And I think the last sort of famous person I have here, Ted Kotcheff, passed away at the age of 94. He did a lot of things in his life, but I think the most important thing he ever did was direct Weekend at Bernie's. So there you go. All right.
Enough for me.
Yep.
Another movie I just rewatched this month.
Yeah. He also did Folks, which is one of my favorite kind of forgotten movies.
Folks? I can't.
I liked Folks. I saw it as a kid, so I kind of have as a thing with it. So
Tom Selleck had no mustache. He has to have a mustache, or he's not Tom Selleck.
I get it.
Yeah.
McDonald's. Yeah, Pop will bring you to McDonald's. Then they had McDonald Douglas stock just during the whole movie for all you guys. All right, Black Terry, the wrestler. Do you know him?
Never heard of him.
So a luchador from Texas, from Mexico, passed away at the age of 72. I'd say a bigger name you probably know from wrestling who passed away. Hisashi Shinma.
Yeah, he was a little before my time, so I knew you were going to bring him up. Do you remember Jack Tunney?
Yes.
Right. He was the pretend president before Jack Tunney.
Okay.
But what his real contributions to pro wrestling was, because that was back when WWE had or WWF at the time had a relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually he was the booker and president for a long time at New Japan. So he's an icon. He's not really an icon here. He is in the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't know that he deserves it, but whatever. I'm fine with it. There's far more people I have a bigger issue with. But if they ever have a New Japan Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, he's got to be first class.
Makes sense. So he passed away from COVID-19. Actually, complications of COVID. He had pneumonia right after he got discharged from COVID-19. But he is a member of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2019. So,
yeah.
Okay. Also passing away, Bob Gerritsen, racing driver, did very, very well with 24 Hours of Le Mans, among other things. Also won the 24 Hours of Daytona, and won the 1981 World Endurance Championship for drivers, which was the first time that was ever awarded. Elected to the FIA Hall of Fame in the sports car wing. He passed away at the age of 92. Also, we have American professional golfer Jay Siegel, one of the greatest amateur golfers of all time. But he turned professional back in 1993 at the age of 50, and then joined the Champions Tour winning 20 times there, 8 times on the Tour of Champions, actually 12 times on other tours. He passed away at the age of 81. Also won the Bob Jones Award for the top gentlemanly player back in 1984. Also was the Senior Tour Rookie of the Year in 94. So first year he became a pro. Alpine ski racer in 1960 and 1964 for the U.S. Charles Ferries, who was the first American to win in the European Classic Gates race when he won in Kitzbühel. Known by many people as the greatest unknown ski racer in U.S. history, passed away at the age of 85. Once was the cover person for Sports Illustrated back in 1963, with the caption underneath saying that he was the best U.S. skier. Okay. Also was the chair of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association and coach of U.S. ski team at one point. Elected to the National Ski Hall of Fame back in 1989. So, bass player for the Little River Band, Roger McLaughlin, passed away at the age of 71 from pancreatic cancer. You big Little River Band person?
I wouldn't say so, but I'm familiar with their big hits.
Okay, just wondering. Yeah, so he was 71 years old. Also passing away, Drew Zing, rock, blues, soul, and jazz guitarist who performed with both Steely Dan and Boz Scaggs. He passed away at the age of 58. His actual last name was...
You can jam.
What?
If that's who you're playing with, you can clearly jam.
Yes, entirely true. But his actual last name was Zing with 2 G's. Zingg, which is just a great rock and roll last name.
What that is ethnically?
I don't know.
I've never heard that before. I've never heard of anyone with last name as Zing unless there was an H in it.
Yeah, his actual birth name was David Drew Zing, and just went by Drew Zing. So also recorded and toured with Ricky Lee Jones, Gladys Knight, Patty Austin, Michael McDonald, Phoebe Snow, all sorts of folks over the years. Donald Fagen on his own. So anyway, like you said, he was 58 years old. From baseball, we lost Nate Oliver at the age of 84, played for the Dodgers, Giants, Yankees, and Cubs during his career, a member of the 1966 champion Dodgers. He, as I said, he passed away at the age of 84. His father played in the Negro Leagues. So he was one of the great players in the Negro Leagues. He's not related to Al Oliver in any way.
I was going to ask you that, actually.
Yeah, they actually look fairly close.
Oh, yeah?
His dad, Jim Oliver Sr., was in the Negro Leagues as well. And James Oliver Field in Pittsburgh, in St. Petersburg, is named after his dad. So, yeah. So, yeah, he also, interestingly, one of my favorite things about Mr. Oliver, in 1990, the Dodgers had an old timers game that he played in, and the Ella Fitzgerald was supposed to sing the national anthem and got sick and canceled. And so Oliver actually covered for Ella Fitzgerald and apparently did an incredible job covering that, which is kind of a cool thing. Yeah, so like I said, he was 50 at the time, or 49 at the time, but he passed away at the age of 84.
Well, he knew how to pinch hit.
There you go. Yeah, heck of a singer, apparently. Also passing away, Tommy Helms, the winner of the 1966 NL Rookie of the Year Award. 2-time All-Star in 67, 68, 2-time Gold Glover in 70 and 71, member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Played with the Reds, Astros, Pirates, and Red Sox from 64 through 77. I mean, heck of a ball player, never going to come close to the Hall of Fame. Right. Then ended up being a coach for years, played coach for the Texas Rangers, then managed the Charlotte Knights for a while and a few other teams, but he passed away at the age of 83. Also a member of the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame. So.
Oh, I forgot to give a shout out earlier to 2 Saints players who retired this week. They're not going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but they're going to be in the Saints Hall of Fame at some point. Both linemen, Ryan Ramczyk and Teron Armstead. So
Cool. The Patriots have somebody who will probably be there too, who hasn't officially retired yet, but I expect to. And David Andrews, our starting center for years, I'm pretty sure he is done as well. The Patriots released him so that they could pay him the bonus, I think. So I'd expect he's going to be done as well. Another Patriots Hall of Famer will never be the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but one of the most beloved Patriots on the offensive line of the last decade. So. All right, we have 4 folks from football and then one big name in hockey. So let's start with Kyron Lacey, who is going to go into the NFL draft coming up here. Had some issues at LSU. Was involved in a traffic collision that killed a 78-year-old man back in December. Apparently fled the scene without calling authorities or emergency services. He was arrested back in January and charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle, and shot himself to death. So anyway, he passed away at the age of 24. Dan Sullivan, member of the Baltimore Colts from 62 to 72, a member of the Super Bowl V champion Colts, also first team All-Pro in 1968 and an NFL champion in 1968. Born in Boston, Massachusetts, passed away in Haverhill, Massachusetts at the age of 85. Played 140 games in the NFL. Also, Ron Garden, defensive back and kick returner with the Baltimore Colts and New England Patriots, and also a member of that same Super Bowl V winning team.
Oh, wow.
He passed away at the age of 80. So we lost 2 within a couple of days of each other. So, and then the biggest name in football, I would say, probably more famous for his children than particularly himself, who was a very good football player himself. Don Hasselbeck passed away at the age of 70. Played with the Patriots from 77 to 83, then with the Raiders, Vikings, and Giants. Member of the Super Bowl 18 championship winning Raiders. Was their all-rookie team in 1977. Member of the Colorado Hall of Fame. He was inducted back in 2024, but probably better known for his 2 sons, who both play quarterback in the NFL, in Matt and Tim Hasselbeck. So,
yeah, Matt was in a Super Bowl, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So Don, for his career, had 107 receptions and 18 touchdowns. So he actually had the first touchdown, I believe, in the Super Bowl 18, if I remember correctly. So, and then the biggest name I'd say in sports who passed away this week, Ray Shero passed away. General manager of the Penguins and Devils from 2006 to 2020. In many ways responsible for, I mean, I'm not going to underrate Sidney Crosby in this as well, but the Penguins at one point were like just going to be folded when he was involved with help taking them over. His father won 2 Stanley Cups with the
Flyers.
With the Flyers in the 70s. But he played college hockey for the St. Lawrence Saints, was drafted by the Kings in 1982, but never actually made it to the NHL. But yeah, what he did with the Penguins was a big, big deal. So,
which there's still, I mean, they're not what they used to be, but the team that he built, that he helped build, because it wasn't just, okay, we got Crosby, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that was certainly a very important name.
He brought some guy named Jenny Malkin. I don't know if he was any good. He drafted a guy named Jordan Stahl. He was decent. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff. But he left he left in 2014, became the New Jersey Devils guy. He was senior advisor to the Minnesota Wild for the last 4 years, but passed away from a brief illness. He apparently had been undergoing treatment for an aggressive type of cancer. and passed away at the age of 62. But one of the very remarkable general managers of the last 20 years in the NHL.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess thanks so much for all that. This will be, I guess, a quick show. We're just going to tell you what's going on in the next little while.
Yeah. So, coming attractions for next week.
Yeah. We don't even. Maybe there might be a double header because we don't even know when the Rock Hall is coming out.
Well, that's true. Apparently, I saw Who Cares About the Rock Hall podcast saying it was the last time they're going to broadcast before it got announced. So I'm presuming it's got to be pretty soon.
All right. So they must know something.
Well, the guy who runs it is now one of the voters, so I'm presuming they must have told him.
Okay, so I guess we've got that coming up pretty soon. And we have our hall coming up. We have all the votes are in.
The votes are in.
Yes. So the United States Athletic Hall of Fame, through our special group, our Blue Ribbon Committee, we've taken their votes and we've got some replacement nominees, and we're going to have a special show where only Evan and I know who it is, but we're going to actually invite some of the people who helped us out, some people you probably know, and you can sort of be shocked along with them.
Yep. So we have 132 nominees for our committee to vote on. This year, it's pretty much all sent out via online ballot to make it easier for everybody. They just select 25, at least 4 of whom have to be women. We had one person who did not select at least 4 women. We had one person who selected 24 women. So you just absolutely never know. We figured that that all just balanced out.
I don't know if you consider that a protest ballot or not.
I don't know, but so you just never know. But in the end, we had 29 voters who got back to us. Just in order to get in, we decided you needed at least to appear on 1/3 of the ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So that means out of 29, that means you had to be on at least 10. So
considering how many we had, that's impressive.
That's impressive. So 132 people, 20 people had appeared on at least 10 ballots. Yeah. So one sport dominated that group, but we will announce them all coming up. And we also had, I think, 10 people or 12 people, 11 people actually, I think it is, who did not appear on any ballots. So they'll be replaced as well for next year coming up. So we already have a list of 31 folks who are going to be joining our list for next year for people. So,
yeah. Also, too, on the site, the baseball revision list has been completed. We're working on football. It takes me some time, guys. I'm getting there. I've had a couple emails saying like, when are you going to replace this one in basketball? I'm the only one who works on that part, so
yeah,
I'll get there. I promise.
Happens. Just by the way, coming up next year, first time eligible, since I have it in front of me, who you'll see who will be up for decision making from MMA, Tito Ortiz seems pretty good. From basketball, we have both Tina Thompson and Allen Iverson. From auto racing, we have NASCAR Series champion Jimmy Johnson. From baseball, we have controversial pick, but it has to be on this nominees list, Alex Rodriguez. From football, I guess controversial in a sort of different way, but still one of the most loved people in the sports. We have Ray Lewis. And then from golf, we have some guy named Eldridge Woods. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I've heard of a Tiger Woods. Are they related?
They might be, yeah. So in order for anyone to be
related to old Ben, sorry.
So when we came up with this whole plan as to how old someone had to be nominated, Tiger Woods is what we use as our thing.
That is true. Oh my God, yeah.
Because we're like, when is Tiger Woods retired? Because he can play the senior tour forever. So we decided people had to be at least 50. So meaning next year, that means they had to be born in 1975 or before in order to be eligible. So that they're officially 50. Tiger was born December 30th of 75. So he barely makes the cut. He'll be the youngest nominee next year.
Probably the easiest one for our group to pick.
Yeah, if he doesn't get on the first ballot, the whole process is weird. So
I think I'll stop it.
We'll have to figure out something else. But yeah,
there you go.
That's a very, very strong list of people. So plus other folks coming in. So
absolutely. I guess this brings it to a close. So wherever you are, wherever you may be, make today count because it never comes again. Check out everything else that we do here at nothalloffame.com. A lot more active on our video channels. And yeah, give us a comment because even one of the new shows is where I'm reading your comments. Though some of you don't like me too much, but that's okay.
You're cute, man. What can we say?
That's a lie. The lie detector says that's a lie. But anyway, take care, everybody.
So, guys.